my expectations after my talk is that you have a clear understanding of these three things when we finish. The first one is to learn who are the actors that are involved and the role they are playing in this interoperable ecosystem for smart devices. You've been seeing, and especially if you belong to the Eclipse community, Oniro, OpenHarmony, Eclipse Foundation, and OpenAtom, each of us is playing a different role, and it's important to separate what is the role of the foundation and what are the role of the projects. A second element is how the foundations are supporting and can cooperate to build interoperable independent projects, and the importance of the processes. That's something that most of the times is a bit painful to go through them, but actually is the only way to get long-term sustainability interoperability. And the third one is to recognize the challenges and opportunities that are behind a truly global solution, and most importantly, who can benefit from them. So before starting, let me introduce myself. My name is Juan Rico. I'm Senior Manager of Oniro and Cloud Programs at Eclipse Foundation. I've been working with wireless sensor networks, IoT, and smart things since 2007 with all the different names that the technology has got all these years. And I have applied all these technologies to multiple domains. And just as a fun fact, the oven I have at home was the reason for joining the foundation. We can explore later on why. So you have here my LinkedIn profile. You can follow me and see updates about what we are doing in Oniro and Eclipse Foundation from time to time. So the first thing is, why do we still need yet another attempt to build a global ecosystem for smart devices? This is something that we have been discussing maybe for the last 10 years with tons of different attempts, different approaches, but why now and why another one? So let's start with the beginning. This is something that is well known by everyone, and the smart device industry is fragmented. But there are three main pain points that we want to address. The first one is poor user experience. It's really hard to get your smart devices working all together in a seamless way. So that is creating a lot of friction in users. When users are not adopting the technology, this is creating less opportunity to companies. So addressing the user experience is one of the main aspects that is keeping the smart device industry not thriving as it was expected. The second part is the technological silos. And that's something that happens especially in those companies that are building smart devices that came from the time that when devices were not smart. It was just devices. So the way they worked was basically through competence centers. They rarely interact between each other. But when connectivity came and the smartization started, it was almost impossible in many of them to cooperate because they were having completely different technological stacks, and the only layer they were sharing was the connectivity. So that was a lot of less opportunities, a lot of more effort with limited value in the market. And the third element is the limited scalability and replicability. Especially when we were targeting different markets, you need to create a tailor-made, a custom tailor-made version of the products depending on the market you are addressing. So that's also one of the main drawbacks that the smart device industry was or has been and is currently facing. So that's a pity and it's awful, but don't panic, we are on time to fix it. And we'll see how and the role of open source in all this to address all these challenges. So open source provide means to overcome those issues in a healthy and sustainable way. And we are covering from two perspectives. The first one are the assets. When we are creating open source projects, we are speaking about open implementation, freely accessible, with the 4 levels of freedom. We are speaking about open specification to develop compatible products, and we are also speaking about TCK to validate product compatibility. And that's something that is really important to create an environment in which companies and people can contribute with code and products to make this cooperation to happen. And the second element is culture and organization. One of the main things is to embrace cooperation and new use cases, but that's only happen if we have a way of working that really promotes that innovations are coming and they are facing or they are addressing specific challenges to the companies that, in the area that the companies are working. The second part is to nurture technological innovation. When we are trying to address a global ecosystem, we face the different levels of development that we have in different regions, the different trends in technologies that we have for each of the regions, and the different tools that people are using in each of the regions that we have. And the third element is that, of course, open source, one of the main benefits that we have is the reduce licenses costs and also reduce the friction to companies to cooperate in such environment. So yeah, that's good and that's important, but there are still some aspects of becoming global that are not solved by just using open source technology. And the first one is cultural, and there are a lot of difference in the way joining a community works in Europe, in the US, or in China. So it's important to know that this is happening. Also, the sense of belonging to a community, how we interact with the peers that we have in our own community, or how to contribute to an open source community. We have hierarchical organizations, horizontal organizations, and we need to create an environment in which these aspects are solved. And the second part is technology and tooling. Email is not as universal as we may think, and that's something that we need to take into consideration. If we just communicate through email, we are not going to respond from some areas of the planet, and that's something that happened. The same thing with GitLab and GitHub. There are other tools that are hosting code repositories, and we need to take that into account to build a really global solution. And the third element is that technology trends can vary depending on the regions. Yeah. And finally, region development. One of the key aspects is digital divide. Well, it's not the same level of access to information, the same level of contribution or understanding of what open source is. So it's important to understand what is the cultural level of the region in which we want to work, to facilitate them the access to those technologies that we are creating. Yep. So, yes, open source is creating opportunities, but there are still a lot of challenges ahead of us. And yeah, is it possible to extend the impact of open source mindset to cover those blind spots that are not yet addressed? Of course, the answer is yes, but we'll see how. And what is important is the implementation. Ideas always works, but we really need to make an implementation that fits into the technological gap we want to cover, but also into the cultural and processes that are supporting the projects that are hosting those technologies. And yeah, let's start with the actors, because as I said at the beginning, one of the main things of my intention with this talk is to clarify what are the different actors and what are the roles they are playing. And we will start first with OpenHarmony and OpenAtom Foundation. OpenHarmony is an open source project hosted by OpenAtom Foundation that is developing an open source operating system targeting smart devices. It was yesterday presented by Professor Chen Haibo in the keynote. It was clear how the open source ecosystem has evolved in the last years and why we need a solution like OpenHarmony right now. OpenAtom Foundation is the open source foundation based in China that is hosted. The project is equivalent to Eclipse Foundation, but mainly focused on Chinese technological community. Yep. So on the other side, we have Oniro and Eclipse Foundation, and Oniro is basically the European distribution of OpenHarmony, and Eclipse Foundation is I think I don't need to explain who is Eclipse Foundation in this conference. But yeah, with all these actors, we cover several things. The first one is geographical spectrum. We have also different cultural paradigms, a broad regulatory environment, the diverse tooling, and different contributing processes and procedures. So yes, basically we are putting all together the challenges that are preventing us to really thrive in a global ecosystem. So let's explain what are the things that we've done to go through all these challenges. Yeah, and one important thing is that the collaboration between the two foundations, and I'm taking Mike Milinkovic reference, one of the blog posts in which he was announcing the collaboration between OpenAtom Foundation and Eclipse Foundation, is the first time two open source foundation engage in such level of detail in a technical collaboration. And basically, the agreement between OpenAtom Foundation and Eclipse Foundation set us a number of high-level objectives that was written into an agreement. But the most important part of the agreement is that from the agreement we have several actions that need to be implemented, both by the OpenHarmony project and Oniro project. So that's the key thing. We are not just setting objectives at high level and, let's say, good words and expectations. It's actually how we are going to translate those objectives into practices that are implemented by the projects and that will result into a set of results that will demonstrate that both Oniro and OpenHarmony are creating a global ecosystem and both Oniro and OpenHarmony are interoperable. So let's go to the actions, which is the most important part. And the first one is the specification development. And yeah, basically, yeah, also yesterday was presented this slide, but we are going to start with OpenHarmony. And OpenHarmony specification is going to be developed using OpenAtom specification process. That's the first thing. The process that is set by the foundation is the way that OpenHarmony is developing the data specification. Then from that specification, and given the fact that Oniro is focusing on mainly on Western markets and EU in particular, we are going to create the specification of Oniro as a superset of OpenHarmony specification following Eclipse Foundation specification process. And basically, yeah, the Eclipse Foundation specification process gives us the comfort to keep working, following the rules that have been in place for many years, and in a way that yeah, members of the Eclipse Foundation can contribute and feel comfortable with the tools and solutions and processes that we have in place. Then with those two specifications that will be compatible, because we are sharing a set of core components that will be present in both specifications, we will build distributions for OpenHarmony and Oniro that will be interoperable. So yeah, and that's something that will be reflected also in terms of how we integrate innovations. Main core of Oniro is OpenHarmony already, and this gives us one important part, or one important opportunity, which is how to build the innovations. Innovation of Oniro will be driven basically by the opportunities of the primary markets that we are addressing. So that's something that is not conflicting against what OpenHarmony has in its core, but actually is bringing opportunities to OpenHarmony because those technologies will be made available to them as well. And how this is going to happen? Yeah, basically because we are going to we are integrating code flows bidirectionally. So it's not just getting, as we did with the specification, what OpenHarmony has said, but also push upstream the solutions and the innovation that the Eclipse Foundation through Oniro is doing. So yeah, this way we are creating this bidirectional cooperation flow that will extend the impact of what has been done by OpenHarmony and what is done by Oniro by using these flows. Good, and the third element is to promote and develop a global ecosystem, and that's also an important part that we need to take into consideration. Of course, setting processes for the cooperation and how the code will flow is important, but we cannot forget that yeah, creating a business opportunity is as important as all the other things, and that was one of the main aspects of the cooperation, the creation of a business ecosystem, the participation in both initiatives, identify what are the opportunities, and develop business cases that support the participation in Oniro or OpenHarmony. And also to have a multi-stakeholder approach. It's not just focusing on one domain, it's just be open to take the innovations that we have and build opportunities around them. And the second aspect, to promote and develop a global ecosystem, is events and communication. Since this is a different way of approaching cooperation between two foundations, we need to deliver a consolidated and clear messaging to explain clearly what is OpenHarmony, what is Oniro, when it's worth to contribute to one project or the other. And for that, the event organization and cooperation is something that is happening, and yeah, I will go through it later on. So, yeah, that was like the basics, but what opportunities are created by the cooperation and for whom are those opportunities? And the first one is focusing on developer experience as a growth vector for Oniro and OpenHarmony. And yeah, there are one thing that reflects really well what the way we are working, which is think global, code local. What that means, it's basically that we are embracing cultural differences, not just in the way that the different regions work, but also in terms of how tooling is used in the different projects, how they are documenting, how is the process for engage with the community. Also, the cooperation enables and promotes the use of local environments. We are not forcing anyone to change the way they work, but we actually promote the way they are working and extend the outreach and the relevance of the contribution they are doing. Yep. Okay. So the second part is supporting smart device manufacturers to navigate a challenging regulatory landscape. Yeah, we all know CRA and the challenges that is putting ahead of us. And that's also important to companies that are not based in Europe. Because yeah, now we need to have the CE mark on the product. So yeah, Oniro, as EU-built and EU-based solution, provides the means and tools to be compliant with European regulation. And that's something that simplifies, on the one hand, the development of the smart device products, but also to extend the outreach and the penetration of those devices in different markets without the need of making changes to them. Also, hardware platforms running OpenHarmony can benefit from Oniro to participate in Western markets. It's not just what we can get from the OpenHarmony side, but also what OpenHarmony side can benefit by using Oniro. And yeah, one important thing is building community together, because one thing is that the technology is interoperable, but actually how to create a community that can work together. We know that we have these cultural differences, but actually it's all about how the communication is happening, how the priorities are set, and how we extend the outreach of the message that we have created. And for that, events is something that is really, really important. Yeah. And well, it's not just the fact that we are creating or organizing events, it's actually to creating opportunities together. And we have some examples already of how the cooperation could be translated into physical products that will be hitting the market. One example is the Bola phone on the left, that it will be the first smartphone running Oniro on it. We have some components that have been developed by the OpenHarmony team that will be integrated into Oniro, like the App Store, which is this a screenshot I have in the middle, but it's not just restricted to a smartphone. We have also the Hype-Hope board running Canto, integrating both OpenHarmony and Oniro, that you can check in the Huawei booth, where we have some demos with them. And let me go back to the Think Global Code Local, because yeah, it's probably the most important thing that we are creating and the easiest way of explaining how the cooperation is happening. And yeah, supporting local communities, creating global outreach is an aspect that requires from three main things. The first one is technical cooperation, and that's basically what we are creating and where foundations are helping. Is setting the processes, is creating the tools, It's identifying which are the layers in which you need the cooperation and how often we should communicate to make that happen. The second element is the cultural part, and that is not just the gatherings, but also how to share the information, how to promote locals to work on it, and yeah, how to increase the outreach of local innovations to go further. And the third element is the business. Again, the cooperation makes no sense if we are not creating business opportunities for the people who is contributing, for the adopters of the technology, and also for the developers that works with us. Good. And yeah, if you want to understand better what is Think Global and Code Local, I inviting all of you to join us this afternoon in the Smart House, room 5 at 6:30, and we will go through a high-level explanation of how the Oniro and OpenHarmony technology works, but also a deep dive explanation of some of the key technologies and innovations that we are developing. So yeah, join us. You will have a good time with us, and at the end of the event, we are going to have the raffle, so you can have the opportunity of winning one of the gifts that Huawei has brought to the event. So what? So let's close going back to the aspects that I shared at the beginning of the presentation, which are the three main things I want you to get from this presentation. What are the actors, the roles? What are how we are trusting the processes to create the interoperability and the role of the foundations, and what are the challenges and opportunities, and who can benefit from them? So again, we have projects and foundation, and it's important to separate how they worked and who is working on that. The foundations are setting the high-level objectives, but are the projects, the work that are implementing processes and tools to make it happen in reality. And that means that we are cooperating to grow an unique ecosystem, which is OpenHarmony ecosystem, but we are both independent in governance and decision making, and that's also important because, yeah, it's creating a global ecosystem, but respect the way each of the projects will work. And of course, members are different, but share a common vision, and it's the need of a new way of integrating devices or smart devices with the tools we have today. In terms of understanding the processes, I think that these are the two most important things. How specifications are creating to maintain the compatibility between OpenHarmony products and Oniro products. We will have labeling in the near future, so yeah, any device that is running Oniro will be compatible with OpenHarmony and the other way around. And for doing that, and the opportunity for developers is that the contributions that are doing locally can be extended to the global OpenHarmony ecosystem, and we have also processes to support this to happen. It's not just a costly process, it's basically to stay and contribute to a normal open source project as you did in the past. And finally, to close, I will go to, again, Think Global, Code Local. I know I have said it many, many times, but it's the best way of sharing what Oniro represents. And yeah, Oniro contributes to extend OpenHarmony ecosystem globally, so to the Western markets. Of course, it's a EU-based compatible distribution. The compatibility is based on the specifications, so this is something that gives Oniro and OpenHarmony users and developers peace of mind, which was one of the frustrations that they used to have as smart device users. Innovations are driven by regional needs and trends, so yeah, they are focusing on local trends, but the outreach could be global. And the benefits of this cooperation mainly focuses on developers, device manufacturers, but the final one who is going to benefit from all these things is the user. And yeah, here you have some of the resources of the Oniro project. So yeah, feel free to join. And yeah, that's my talk.